for value, you know, value for their money. So if you provide them with professional service, the experience, the expertise that is needed, then people are willing to pay for that. The issue comes in when people don't see the value that you bring to a real estate transaction. So on the other end of things, I would encourage real estate agents to, you know, empower themselves with knowledge, with information, invest in yourself. You know, there's a lot of educational pieces out there for real estate that will be able to provide clients with all the information they need. And in terms of professionalism, your response time, you know, also providing customer service, customer satisfaction, customer experience. These are all key things that are necessary, right? So that's that. So now another thing is also from the aspect of the clients. You know, you have landlords, you have sellers that, you know, what's interesting is you find that a lot of them change their minds concerning the prices in the middle of a transaction, believe it or not, right? Which is not something that should happen. But yeah, I've literally had landlords say, you know, it's one price, you're about to sign the documents after negotiations, and then they say, oh, it's this price, and you're like, no, we agreed on this price. And they're like, yeah, so what? I am the landlord, I can change my mind on my own property. You know, so these are some of the challenges you face, and you know, you try to overcome them by, you know, speaking to them, or, you know, in some cases you just have to find another suitable property for your client. Okay, so Joshua, I hope that answers that. We've tackled a couple of things here, but if you have any additional questions or specific questions in relation to that, please drop it down in the comments section. All right, question number 2. This question came in from Kwame. Kwame, thank you so much for your question. To buy or to build, what are the pros and cons? You know, this question, I would say you should personalize it. In what season are you in, and what is more convenient and what is more cost effective for you? For example, if you are living overseas and you want to build in Ghana, you already know that to be able to build in Ghana from a different continent or a different country is challenging. You know, you need to have a good, trustworthy, reliable team that can oversee the project and ensure that everything is as you would want it to be. So if you are overseas and the question to buy or to build, I would go with to buy. You can come down, go on a viewing, view the property, you like it, you buy it, you're done. It's settled. But if you are living here and you have land, maybe inherited land, or you're able to purchase land at a very good price, then you can take your time and build, because you do have the ability to go to the land to see what's happening on the project and to ensure that they're building to your specifications. But on the other hand, even if you are living here locally and you don't have the time, maybe your job is very demanding and you won't have the time to be able to go and oversee this project, then you may just want to go buy a property and that's it. Now, the other thing with building is that, you know, you can customize it as you choose. Whereas if you buy the property, you know, a lot of developers will allow you to make changes within the building, but the exterior has to remain as it is, so that there's uniformity in that particular gated community or in that estate. So a lot of times they won't allow you to change the exterior of the property. So what are the pros and cons? I think that sums it up, but I would just say it just depends on you and your lifestyle, your availability, whether it's convenient for you or not, if you have the time. Bear in mind that typically if you're going to build on your own, it's going to take a longer time frame than if you just had a developer go out there and build for you. Even though you're just building your own house, you know, you've got to make sure that the finances, do you have the resources? If you have the resources, you have the finances available, human resource, financial resource available, then yes, you can go ahead and build, and you'll be able to build quickly. But if you've never built before, that's also another project of its own, right? Making sure that the laborers, the contractors, are building as they should, keeping track of inventory, minimizing loss and theft and that sort of thing. So it just boils down to, do you have the time? What is much more convenient for you? Okay. Thank you, Kwame. Next question is from Trina. Hi, Trina. And your question is, why must these agents take 10%? And so we wanted clarity on that question. Are you referring to rental or sale? And she was referring to a rental, that if you're paying 2 years or more upfront, then an agent takes 10%. This is the standard commission. So and I'll just tell you what it is, everybody, so that you know what it should be when you're renting out a property. If you're renting out a property for 6 months or less, the commission is half a month's rent. If it is for 1 year, it is 1 month's rent. If it is more than 1 year, then it is 1 month's rent or 10%, whichever one is higher. It'll typically be 10%. So the question is, why on earth would you charge 10% if somebody's paying 5 years, 2 years, 3 years up front? I want you to look at it like this. Look at it as royalty fees, right? Because if somebody has a product that you gave them, that they are generating an income from for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, wouldn't you want some sort of royalty fees, attached to that? Wouldn't you want to know that I'm bringing somebody money, not for just 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, but I'm bringing them money for a duration, and I should be able to benefit from this business that I'm bringing to the person. So instead of saying, all right, every year that they renew the rent, I'm going to charge a percentage because I brought that client. Rather, you're just doing a 10% upfront fee, and somebody could be renting it out for 5, 10 years. So look at it as these are royalty fees. Now, another part to the question was that, why is it that when some real estate agents find out that the client is not Ghanaian, then they charge them more, they go up on their price? That is wrong. And that is why I would encourage you to make sure that you get a real estate agent that is part of an association, like Ghana Association of Real Estate Brokers, GAREP. You want to make sure that the real estate agent has accountability to a certain entity, because we have moral ethics we need to follow, these code of ethics we need to follow that indicate that, listen, we are abiding by these rules, by these policies. We can't just wake up and determine what the commissions are. They are standards that we must follow. So if they are just charging you ridiculous amounts because you are not a Ghanaian, or they decipher that you are a foreigner, then that is incorrect, and I believe that they should be reported to the appropriate entities. Okay? Hope I got that answered for you, Trina. Thank you for your question. Final question from Kay in Shraba. Thank you. Question is, cash flow or capital gains? When people ask me questions like this, I always say, what is your financial plan? Everybody should have a financial plan, and your financial plan will vary depending on whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Your financial plan at age 50 is going to be different to age 20. If you're 20 years old, you can take more risk, right? As opposed to somebody who's in their 50, you're going to take more calculated risks, right? Because in your 20, you have more time to make up for the financial mistakes that you've made essentially at that age. So when you say cash flow or capital gains, my question to you is, what is your financial plan? And then also, we should also look at your age as well. So cash flow is something like rental income. So you receive a cash flow every month, or every year as the lease is renewed. That is what we call cash flow. Or maybe you have land by the roadside and you're leasing it as a car wash, or leasing it for boutiques or commercial space, retail space. You are getting cash flow. Or something like Airbnb, you're getting cash flow on a nightly daily, weekly, monthly rate, or you can have long-term rentals. That's what we are referring to in terms of cash flow. Now, capital gains is, for example, you bought land in 2010 and now you're selling it, 3-5 years later, and the difference in what you bought it for and what you sold it for is what we call capital gains. So you see, if you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s and you buy land, typically you would have to hold it for a couple of years before you would see some sort of profit from it. So if you bought the land and you're able to hold it 3-5 years, and then turn around and sell it, you make a return on your investment. That's capital gains. If you're in your 50s, 60s, you may not have the luxury of waiting 3, 5, 10 years, before you sell it to be able to get your capital gains. Also, and that depends on the environment you're in. If you are looking at emerging markets where there is a trend of a higher return on your investment after a shorter period of time because of development, because of infrastructure, because of migration, and that sort of thing, then yes, the period that you would actually hold on to that land or that property would not have to be extended 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. It may even be 2 years, 3 years. We look at emerging areas like East Legon Hills. 2 years ago, you probably could have got land for $30,000, and today you're looking at it doubling, So I think, it really depends on you. Do you need cash flow right now? Do you need to be liquid? So probably you want to inject funds into a business, to grow your business, then you need liquidity. If you don't and you can afford to have money, essentially, I don't want to say locked up because, it's money that's put into an asset, a good appreciating asset, and you can wait, you don't need that money right now, then go ahead and put it into an investment and wait to get the capital gains. I hope I've answered all your questions. Do we have any questions?
Yes.
Oh boy, go ahead.
From Rehome Africa.
Sure.
Would you advise first-time home buyers to use mortgage when buying a home in Ghana?
Well, I would say as a first-time home buyer, I'm not a big fan of loans, let me tell you that. And I believe that there are so many other ways that you can get the money that you need to build your home or to purchase your first home. I wouldn't encourage loans, especially in Ghana where inflation is high and the CD depreciation is very volatile. You see, and the rates are very high. Right now, rates are ranging anywhere from 34 to 37% on a CD loan. Okay, that's number one. That's two things. Number one is the inflation, right? And number two is the high interest rates. Number three is the fact that they are not really a lot of affordable, quote unquote, people say affordable housing, but let's look at it. The cheapest house or apartment that I've seen is about $30,000, right? That's about, we're looking at a rate of $1 to 12. That's about 360,000 Ghana cedis. At a rate of 34%, I don't know what it is, we'd have to put it in a mortgage calculator, but I would say at a rate of 34%, I don't think we'll be looking at a payment of less than 3,000 cedis a month. The average income earner receives 1,400 cedis a month in this country. How are you going to afford, quote unquote, this affordable housing as a first-time home buyer? So your best bet may be to buy land. You can get land for 15,000 cedis, 20,000, 30,000. You're talking about Shy Hills, Dodowa, Pram, 40,000 cedis, and take your time and build. I would not encourage a loan. Hope that answers that. Any more questions?
Comment. Hanson Joshua says, great answer, madam.
Thank you so much for your question. Any questions on YouTube? Any questions? More questions on Instagram? I love questions, so always feel free to drop a question. You can always email us as well, info@ewellsconsult.com, to send in any questions and any topics that you guys want to get some in-depth teaching on. Please let me know. I'm available to do that for you as well.
There's a question.
Sure.
Rehome Africa again. Will the case be different if buyer is an African in the diaspora?
Okay, still, if you are an African in the diaspora and you want to buy property in Ghana, the rates are still high. You're looking at about 18% on a dollar loan. The difference is just the qualification. You would still need to present all your credit reports overseas, so Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. They will look at your credit history. They will look at your debt. And your debt to income ratio should be anywhere, depending on the mortgage banker, but it should be average 40% as your debt to income ratio. And they need to be able to see that you can afford your current mortgage where you are, plus this mortgage here. And the rates would be even, these are base rates, I'm talking about 18%. And they have to add the margin. Because you see, the way the financier, the lender will look at it is this. If a situation happens, unfortunately, if unfortunately a situation happens where you lose your job, right, or you lose a source of income, which house are you most likely going to make sure that you're able to save? It will be your primary residence, because your residence here overseas would be considered a secondary home or an investment home. So they are more at risk of you losing that home than your primary residence. So the rates are going to be higher. So I would definitely not encourage loans. However, if you are overseas, the cost to borrow is much less. So if you want to take out a mortgage, in the States or the UK or Canada, or wherever it is, you can even take out a home equity loan from the current home you're in and then come and pay for this home outright and pay back on a lower interest rate, because rates there are, I'm sure, at one point they were like 2.9%, 3%. Now they're about 6%, which is still much less than the 18%, you'll be paying here. So usually I would encourage you to refinance, take cash out where you are, or do a home equity line of credit or home equity loan credit. Home equity loan. All right. I love the questions. Any more questions? All right. Great. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget, the Women's Conference is coming up, African Women in Real Estate. It's happening May 20th, that's Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Make sure you register. You can register at eventbrite.com and register where else? Ticketmiller.com as well. So make sure you register. People are registering. I think we have a number of seats left and they are filling up very, very quickly. So make sure you register. You can also call the office line, or you can also visit our office if you want to make a payment. 39 Garden Road, East Legon. Not a payment in the office, but to Momo. We can help you make the payment to the Momo account, or you can make the payment to our bank accounts as well. So thank you once again for tuning in today. Make sure you share, like, and comment. Thank you.